This
simple
conference will now be recorded.
that simple act will be very profound for industry. So the question I have for everyone is, what could business work group do to support that activity in some form or shape? Because there are many things which are required uh, for that to be successful. And rather than us trying to do something new, if we could find and support a portion of activity which falls under business side of things for enabling the test chip, then all the work streams are working towards this broader goal in their own way to make it successful, right? So, Bo group is working on the specification. Link layer might be working on a higher level protocol for Bo test chip related stuff, and then a business work group could be doing something for enabling the board test chip. So what could be the set of activities we could do? Maybe we should talk about those things and then include that in 2022 if we are able to find a couple of activities supporting board test chip. So those are my high level thoughts. Any comments from everyone?
Wow, quite a. So, DJ, that's a great suggestion. But I think we have to decide as a community what this business work group can contribute into the test chip, because I know the test chip is being at the forefront of ODSA and it's been tracked into a couple of different places within ODSA work streams. So, what this work group? So, do you have any suggestion or any specific call out we should debate about it?
Yeah. So my thought was exactly that let's talk about, are there any areas where we can work on to support that activity? The answer could be no, there are none, or the answer could be yeah, there are these two areas. At least we should talk about it, right? And then come up with a conclusion on is there a way to support it? If there is, then that becomes part of the plan. So I want to open that discussion here and ask everyone, do we believe that there are things we could do to support that activity from the business perspective? So one instance could be, for example, I know Bapi is building a business a slide deck, and I'm planning to help him support that. There are aspects in that slide deck which could be, from the business perspective, important for again companies to know about. And what better group to handle that portion of the deck than the business work group, right? Uh, and that would be one example of a specific activity we could do, where we can say, hey, Bapi, if you want to talk about this piece in your slide deck, business work group can deliver those 4 slides or 3 slides for you, or something like that. There are a lot of things which are going to come out of this white paper anyways. So those things can be helpful for execs in various companies to know about in a simple manner. And perhaps we can contribute into that deck. That's one idea I have. Of course, there could be many more ideas, and I would love to hear from all of you on what other ideas we could think of for supporting both test chip work.
DJ, where do we, and I guess I should know this, but where can I get some documentation on the test chip?
Great question. So can you elaborate on what documentation you're looking for? I'll start typing in the links in the chat and you'll have it instantly. But I want to know what documentation you're looking for.
No, just what's the architecture, right? It's a test chip. It's good. What chiplets is it going to have? Is it just to demonstrate the die-to-die interface? I'm trying to think of it, if I can just maybe update my cost model too when I look at it.
Yeah, so I think I'm sending you a quick link. We did make a simple swag at what the test chip could look like. There's a section in this link which I just posted. It is a 2-chiplet solution which has basically PRBS generator, some comparators, some control mechanism. Folks could probably create a test chip which might be a little bit more involved, but that's the basic configuration. If you look at figure 1, it talks about the board test chip configuration. The goal of the test chip, of course, is mainly to characterize the performance of the die-to-die interface on a given channel.
Okay. It's asking me to get access. Am I the only one?
Can you tell me your Gmail address? I will give you access right now. And you might be the only one because there are quite a lot of people on that link.
Yeah, here, I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Just
so
type it in, and type it in the chat and I will.
Yeah, we can copy and paste
Perfect.
it in.
Yep. You should have access. Now.
So
Yeah, you
off the
should
top
get
of my head, I'm finding it hard to see how this directly relates to the boat test chip. But yeah, something to possibly think about. It doesn't occur to me immediately. That's all I'm trying to say.
So Anu, you had a thought which you are trying to link to the test chip, or what was your?
Well, I'm just trying to see how anything that we've done so far can help with the test chip. Maybe in terms of, yeah, I don't know.
We are doing forward-looking exercise, so we are not looking backwards. We are not thinking of what have we done thus far. I think the idea is, what is it that we could do in 2022? Is there anything we can do in 2022? Instead of coming up with completely new set of activities, if we just do 2 or 3 tasks which need to be done on the board test chip related enablement and has some business angle to it, then we might as well absorb it in our work stream. That's the thought process. And it's a forward-looking exercise, not a backward-looking exercise. So we should think of what is it that we could be doing in 2022.
Right. So, okay. So let me talk a little bit about, for me, where from a semiconductor point of view, and this is not related to the boat test chip, which is why I just want to make that clear. So if you look at the cost model that we have, it makes certain assumptions in terms of for the advanced packaging portions, right? Those are numbers that we clearly we don't have them. Example, wafer pricing, of course, is a very proprietary number, right? The pricing that Google will get is different from the pricing that we would get, different from the pricing that Teradyne would get. So that's obvious. But when I if I want to enable an engineer in a company like mine, or say even Marvell, to run a first pass analysis of what it takes to combine something using a silicon interposer or an info or a focus type technology, I'd like to have some kind of baseline costing, and it doesn't have to be correct to the nth degree, right? It's a ballpark of, if something's going to cost me $1,000, then the CoWoS or the silicon interposer is going to cost me 4 times that amount. Just so I can get a number. What we do today in the cost spreadsheet is we just have a random estimate of it's $20 a package, and then you go in based on what your company is getting from, the person you're going to use, or your OSAT or a foundry for your advanced processing assembly, and find that. Getting that number, and for me in my organization, is like beating my head on a wall. They start getting into a lot of specifics. And I know these are specifics that are being asked by foundries and OSATs in terms of exactly what are your volumes, what are you looking to do, how many layers do you want. I want to be able to come up with a ballpark, which is not widely out of spec, but I understand that a lot of this is proprietary and highly custom to a specific process. So that's something that I've been trying to wrap my head around, because, and maybe this is just something custom that I need to do for my company, right? It may not be something that we're able to share on a GitHub type open source place. But internally, that's kind of one of my goals, and I do want to set up a call with Elko and possibly Kevin and talk about, how I can get some assistance in having some prediction, a rational prediction of what the costs are going to be. And if there is a year-over-year expectation of cost going down, for example, for wafers, we put in, a 1%, which decline in cost. So that's something I'd like to get my hands wrapped around, because to me, it will add value in my organization. And I'm the only semi vendor, I think, right now in this call. So I don't know how other guys like Marvell or Broadcom feel about it, but those are just my thoughts. And any feedback, especially from Elkos and the Kevins of the world, I would greatly appreciate.
So Anu, I understand exactly what you're asking for. Internally, we are working on providing some of that, or working on models like that.
Mm-hmm.
What we can actually share, I'm still in debate internally on, but I understand exactly what you're asking about is at least some kind of first order pass to say, does it even make sense to do or not? And is it in the ballpark of what you want to do before you spend a whole lot of time investing?
Exactly. I mean, for example, if I'm going to do a 3D stacking and the adder per wafer is 2 times the cost of not doing stacking, then that's a huge impact on my silicon cost per die. Versus if it was only $1,000 more per wafer. So if just a first pass, that's what I'm looking for.
So let me get back to you on that. Like I said, I have been working on something internally. I just don't know how much we can share publicly.
Okay, no, fair enough. And then if, Kevin, if it's got to be, more between Microchip and Samsung, we can talk offline about that too. I just want it for my organization, but I think it would benefit everyone if some things can be shared in an open.
So Anu,
I agree completely. And I'm trying to get our teams to make it more public. I'm just not sure how open people are. Under NDA, we will be able to, but that's what I'm working on right now.
So Anu, can we say that refine chiplet cost model further, or tighten the assumption for chiplet? That could be one objective we can do.
Yeah, it would be refining, especially for the assembly cost, because that's a big blank right now. It's some lump sum we put in.
So I will just keep it more generic, which is refine chiplet cost model and validate some of the assumption.
Right. I mean, there is going to be more work going on the chiplet model because we're working on making it more Python code based, adding in a whole bunch of the uncertainties and sensitivity analysis. And Mudassar has actually been really helpful because there's somebody in Google who's actually doing the coding for us, which is very nice compared to an engineer doing the coding. So that work's going to be in parallel. But this, I think, the thing is, all of us come from a different point of view into this team. And from my point of view, I believe this adds value from a semi point of view. And so it may not be equally applicable to end users. But just a thought I had. It's something that I'm going to definitely work on. So.
Okay. And then I want to go back to what Dharmesh brought it up, which is support board test chip. And I don't know if we agree on how we can support, or maybe this require more discussion, maybe early next year. Maybe we can just capture it, support business board test chip from a business work group standpoint.
Hey, Anu, let me comment from the assembly side. I think the situation's similar, right? I mean, some of these cost models, even internally, are still very much evolving. All these cases are pretty unique at this point still. But I think it's going to be probably a lot of resistance to sharing a cost model publicly. I think what we can do and working with you would be to identify what are the key cost elements. And then we make a standard set of assumptions as a group for the various assemblers so that we can at least get a relative comparison, right? I think I mean, no one of us, whether it's us or MCOR or anybody else, is going to tell you exactly what our flip chip cost per die is, et cetera.
Right.
And quite
No,
frankly,
absolutely. And that's
and it's
totally
going to
fair,
be,
Elko.
and it's going to vary quite a bit as well, right? I mean, just like in a fab, when we're getting to these more complex processes, what we do is we build up a mock flow, and then we start to apply cost models to it based on the tools, the equipment that's being used, the depreciation, the UPHs, all that good stuff.
Sure.
And that varies by case. So, but I think if we can collaboratively work through and identify at least what are the gross cost contributors, and then make some baseline assumptions so that those are normalized across whoever, it'll at least give you a good relative idea.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's relative cost that I want. Don't need exact numbers, and I totally respect that all of this is proprietary. But I think it would take us one step forward in the direction which enables people to actually do a really good first pass, as opposed to, well, I just put a blanket number for this, and that number is grossly off right now, and so my entire calculation is wrong.
Right.
I
There's
appreciate it.
So I think Anu and Alco, I want to just intercept here because I promise everybody that maybe we can keep the meeting short today. So
Are you saying I'm derailing the conversation, Ravi?
No. Again, the reason I'm saying is,
Kidding.
can we just agree on, we are getting into the solution mode. I'm just saying, can we just agree on some of the 2022 focus area? And then
Yeah.
I think some of these things we need to really have deep dive discussion, when we come back in 2022. So we have not still closed on support board test chip. Is everybody okay in putting it here as, and I think we need to figure out what that means, because I don't think it's clear in everyone's, or we don't have a consensus on that, right?
Yeah, I think it needs further discussion. I'm going through the document right now. Nothing jumps out, but yeah, I think we should, in 2 weeks from now, we'll get back together. We should pick it up.
Yeah, we should spend at least, some discussion time, and then nothing comes out. Then we say, okay, we tried, we discussed, we move on, we find new areas. But even if one item comes out, I think that would be hugely beneficial to ODSA in general, right? We will be supporting that activity.
Okay, so for white paper, next step, I'm just going to capture these 4 items, and then I'm sure we can pick up more if we need to, or we can trim down whatever, as we go into 2022. So
Ravi, on the white paper, quick question. I want to add some section on accomplishments or things like that. So how is the structure looking right now on the white paper? Because I'm going to spend some cycles before the week, until mid next week. So we are ready for Friday.
So I high level, when I look at it, I think it is coming along very well, because we are starting with the generic part of ODSA and then the marketplace, right? I think this is that section. Then we jumped into the business work group, and some background and some of the major accomplishment as part of this work group. And then 2 focus area we had this year, which was cost model and the known good die model. And then another part of this came, which is the thermal modeling, which is captured here. And I think then right now it says looking ahead. Maybe we can add more things which you are saying, and from an accomplishment standpoint in this flow.
So what I do is by middle of next week, I'll spend some cycles. I think we need to organize this more in the section point of view, like section 1, section 2, section 3. So then we can even have empty sections. Then people know. I mean, it's already there, but it's right now in a raw format. So let me do some, beautifying of the document, and then I'll add my section on, what are the key things which we have accomplished as a group, both work, business work group and end user. I'll mix it all into one section.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else before we depart today? And I think this might be our last meeting. I don't know, because I think this is the last meeting probably for this year. So I really want to thank everyone. I think we had a great year in terms of what we accomplished as part of our small group. So I want to thank everyone.
Thank you. I think Ravi, you and DJ sort of corralled the forces together very nicely. Especially, kind of pretty impressive. From April, we managed to actually pick 2 topics and sort of focus on them. So you guys sort of moved the troops along very nicely. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I second that, Ravi and DJ. Thanks for all your efforts, and my apologies for being absent for a number of weeks here with all these meetings, and being on the supply side of this demand curve right now hasn't been a lot of fun the last few months.
Yeah, thanks, Ravi. Thanks, DJ.
Yeah, I think all of you have we are all contributing equally. So thank you, everyone, and let's kick some serious, rear in 2022. Looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Thanks, everyone, and good
Thanks,
happy
everyone.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.